Hey girl, welcome back to the show. Today I'm going to ask you this pivotal game-changing question. What does it mean to go all in? No, but for reals, sister. What does it mean for you to go all in on you? Stop settling, stop living this mediocre life, repeating the same day every single day and calling it life, yet so desperately wanting freedom from this debilitating disease. What is your expectation for you? The reality is that you can't heal from a life that you still pretend to enjoy. And so today I want to pull out of you what it is that you're pretending to enjoy, because you wouldn't be listening to the show if you didn't want something different and something better for you. And I wouldn't have come up with this show if it wasn't because I didn't truly believe that you deserved to become the most best, healthiest version of yourself. This one is just a heartfelt episode that I felt called to share with you today, and I hope it will encourage you as you walk this path to freedom. Here's episode 217. Hey girl, welcome to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsey, former competitive figure skater and perfectionist, turned God-led imperfect boy mom and digital CEO. If you find yourself constantly thinking about food and wondering if you'll wake up one day free from the obsessive thoughts and behaviors controlling your life, then I've created this podcast for you, because I know exactly what it's like to be a downright hot mess trapped in a destructive cycle of disordered eating. I finally found freedom, and you can too, girlfriend. So if you're ready to heal your relationship with food and body and break the chains of control and show up in your best health, then grab your favorite Tarjay journal and let's get to it, so you can start living your best life as your best self. Hey there, sis. Welcome back to the Her Best Self podcast. I'm Lindsey, your host and eating disorder recovery coach, who has been exactly where you are. Yes, I have. And today we're talking about something that hit me like a lightning bolt during church yesterday. The concept of going all in. Not just dipping your toes in recovery, not just showing up halfway, but fully committing yourself to healing in a way that might feel terrifying, but also leads to true freedom. So if you've been struggling with making real progress in your life and in your journey to recovery freedom, and you've been feeling stuck in the same cycle over and over and over, calling it a different day, or finding yourself constantly sabotaging your own efforts and going back to old patterns and behaviors that you just know are not for you, but you can't seem to change, then this episode is especially for you. Yesterday at church, our pastor talked about faith and using this powerful water analogy that immediately made me think about the recovery journey. And I had tears streaming down my face when he shared these few questions. He asked, are you ankle deep? Maybe knee deep? What about waist deep? Or are you all in? And of course, he was talking about faith. And I realize that not everybody that listens to the show is a Christian and comes from that faith. And that is perfectly okay. The more the merrier here. But my face was covered. And of course I had no tissues because I wasn't prepared to cry yesterday. Just that always happens, right? But it was like the Holy Spirit literally talking through me. And he was like, are you ankle deep in your faith of what you believe God has for your life? Are you knee deep in your faith of what you believe God has for your life? Are you even waist deep, or are you all in? I got to thinking, like, do I fully believe that everything that he has for my life is going to be the best possible outcome for my life? Or am I constantly trying to control certain aspects of it? Maybe some days you are the same. Maybe you feel like, I'm ankle deep, like I can step right back out of this and go back into old patterns and behaviors, or go back to old things that are just not going to help me. I'm knee deep, whereas I'm having a better day, or I'm waist deep. I want to ask you the same questions about your recovery. Are you ankle deep? This is where you're just testing the waters. Maybe you've admitted that there's a problem and you've started following recovery accounts on Instagram, or you're listening to podcasts like this one, but you're not really changing your behaviors. Your feet are wet. They're kind of in the puddle, if you see the analogy, but you're gathering information without application. And if you're there, there's a perfect place and time to being ankle deep. And I realized that with my faith as well, like there was a perfect place and time of being ankle deep. I wasn't just going to jump into the deep end, at least, right? I had to kind of touch the puddle. But if you're finding yourself there and you're staying there, and this is what he was talking about in terms of like our faith, if you're finding yourself there and you're staying there, but then you're expecting God to bless there and you're frustrated that you're not moving forward, part of that is on you, right? We control so many aspects of our life and we wonder why we're not further along. Maybe you're knee deep. You're putting in some effort. Maybe you've increased your calories a bit. You're trying to reduce behaviors. You talked to a few people about what you're going through. But then on a normal day, when it gets hard, you retreat back to your eating disorder. You keep one foot firmly planted on the shore of your comfort zone and you stay there. Maybe like I was feeling yesterday, I was waist deep with my faith. Girl, I was just like, you know what? I have been trying to control things on my own. And yet I know it doesn't work like that. But I always take that control back in my life. And this is predominantly around just my kids, my husband, the people that work for me, and just so many different things. But if you're doing the work most days, this means you're waist deep. You're challenging yourself, those rules, you're sitting with that discomfort, you're journaling, you're reflecting, but you're still holding parts of yourself back. There are certain foods that you won't touch. There are certain recovery principles that you refuse to embrace. And there are certain beliefs about your body that you simply won't allow in. Like, maybe I'll actually love myself if I get healthier. But the truth is that partial commitment yields partial results. Partial faith yields partial miracles. Like, you can't have it all. You can't get the full reap of the blessing if you're not willing to surrender it all. And it hit me. To experience the full freedom that recovery offers, you have to go all in. That means complete and total surrender. To expect the blessings that God has over my business, over my life, over my kids' life, over my marriage, I have to completely trust. It's not partial. Complete willingness to feel all of your feelings, friend, without using food or exercise to numb them. You know what my pastor said that really struck me? It was, are you all in? Have you surrendered fully? Or are you still in your own comfort zone, in your own control? Because when you're ankle deep, when you're knee deep, and when you're waist deep, you can go right back. Like, you can get right out of the water. It's not that much effort. You're feeling like you have that control. But that is a false sense of control. And in order to go all in, you have to get out of your comfort zone and get out of the way so that God can come in. And I want you to let that sink in for a moment. How often are you getting in the way of your own recovery or your own ability to do this in your life? Because you weren't meant to do life alone. Also, how often are you blocking your own healing because you're trying to control every single thing? If you're not willing to trust the process because you're holding on to this false comfort of the eating disorder, then the reality is that you will find yourself constantly in the cycle. And I had to learn it the hard way, but honestly, it was getting to a point in my life where I was realizing that in order to move forward, I had to jump. I had to be okay that I was uncomfortable. You see, it was never meant to be comfortable. This process isn't going to be, and I think that's what makes it hard for people and hard for us when we're like, I just want to get through it. But this is about growth, girl. And growth happens in the discomfort of our lives, whether we like it or love it or hate it. It happens when you eat that fear food. It happens when you rest instead of going out for your run. It happens when you allow yourself to take up more space in the world. And that doesn't mean to blow up, okay? I know that's the fear that the mind wants to take you to, and that black and white thinking. The eating disorder has convinced you that control equals safety. And that is the biggest lie that it tells you. What looks like control is actually a prison. And you were meant for so much more than a prison cell. Romans 12:2 tells us this: do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And your disordered relationship with food is conforming to the pattern of this world. It is a world that is obsessed with thinness, with restriction, with punishment, without permission, and with scarcity. But going all in on yourself is about renewing your mind, transforming your thought patterns that are no longer serving you in this place of your life, and rejecting the worldly values. Proverbs 3:5-6 says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not only on your understanding, but in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Your eating disorder is you leaning on your own understanding, trying to solve your problems, trying to manage these massive emotions, and controlling your life through food and body manipulation. And I had to get to the end of myself to truly see this clearly. But going all in is about trusting that there's a better way, even when you can't see the staircase, even when you can't see the full path. Here's another hard truth, because I love bringing you guys all the hard truths. You cannot go in while still wearing the mask. The reality is you cannot heal from a life that you're still pretending to enjoy. You can't have one foot in and one foot out. So stop pretending. The eating disorder has pulled a mask over you, a false identity that you might have worn for years or decades. And that's okay. That's not to create shame. But this mask might look like, I'm the responsible one. I'm the high achiever. I'm the helper. I'm the skinny friend. I'm the one who has it all together. But behind that mask, you're exhausted, afraid, and desperate for an escape. Am I right? Desperate for connection, yet so scared to be judged in that connection. And going all in means pulling away that mask and simply saying, this is who I am. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what I really need. It's terrifying, I know. What is your expectation on what you want or what you don't want? I remember the first time that I admitted to somebody that I didn't actually want to go to the gym. I just felt like it was an obligation. I had put on that label so long that I love doing this 2 hours a day. I remember the first time that I said out loud that I was afraid and terrified of gaining weight. I remember the first time I acknowledged that my healthy eating, my clean eating, was actually rigid restriction in disguise. And each time that I removed a piece of that mask, I felt vulnerable. I felt exposed. But I also felt freer, more authentic, and more me. Sometimes I think about how much energy maintaining that mask required. The mental gymnastics of explaining my food choices or why I couldn't go out with friends. The physical exhaustion of maintaining behaviors and the emotional labor of pretending that I was fine and everything was fine, yet I felt like I was crumbling inside. Something that I tell my sons every single day when they leave the house is that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. When you go all in, sis, you get to redirect all that energy toward actually living your life, toward your relationships, toward your passions, toward your purpose, toward the person that you were made to be. So here's my question for you today. What would it look like for you to go all in? Not the ankle level, not the knee level, not the waist level, but to the depths where you were out of control. So out of control that you had to completely surrender. All in. Maybe it means deleting that calorie counting app that you've been hanging on to just in case. Or maybe it means finally eating that bagel that you've been avoiding for years just to prove to yourself that you can. Or maybe it means telling somebody, really telling them what you're going through instead of minimizing it or hiding it or wiping it out of underneath the rug because you're scared to be judged. Maybe it means admitting there's a problem in the first place, or committing to regular meals or consistent eating every few hours when your eating disorder voice is screaming at you just to push it off to later. Or maybe it means letting go of the need to look a certain way before you're going to allow yourself to fully participate in life. Your takeaway action for this week is this. I want you to identify one area where you've been holding back. And I want you to take one step toward going all in that area. Write it down, share it with someone who will hold you accountable, and then do it. This isn't negotiable. Even if your hands shake, even if your heart races, even if every single part of your being wants to retreat back to the safety of ankle-deep waters, do it. And friend, I know how overwhelming that this can feel. I know that going all in feels like jumping off a cliff without knowing what's at the bottom of the cliff, and your girl is scared of heights, okay? I've been there. I've been terrified of what recovery might mean, what I might look like, who I might be without an eating disorder. But I can tell you from both personal experience and from working with so many women that the freedom on the other side is worth every single uncomfortable step. So if you're ready to go all in, but you know that you cannot do this alone, I am here for you. My one-on-one support is designed especially for you. If you are tired of living halfway in, if you are tired of living a half-life, if you are tired of being exhausted from the constant battle with food over your life, if you are ready for real and lasting freedom, together we're going to talk about practical strategies for challenging these behaviors, and we're going to create a personalized recovery plan that it honors your unique journey. I'm going to be with you every single step of the way, celebrating your victories, supporting you through your setbacks, and constantly reminding you of your true worth beyond your body size or your food choices. The prison door, friend, is unlocked, and all you have to do is decide to walk through it. So, if you're ready to do that today, write down that action you're taking, share it with me in our private Facebook community, herbestselfsociety.com, and then go visit herbestself.co and fill out an application. Until next time, I want you to remember that freedom is so possible for you and recovery is worth it for you, and you don't have to do this by yourself. Go all in on you. You will never look back. Talk to you soon, girl. Bye for now. Oh, friend, thank you so much for letting me share what was on my heart today. My hope for this podcast is to help more women find freedom from food and body. If this has empowered or blessed you, let me know. I'd be honored for your rating and review of my show, and I'd love to connect with you in my private Facebook community. You really can move from perfection to purpose. Let's break the chains together. I'll help navigate the way. Until next time, bye for now, girl.